Based on the editorial, The Race to Improve Global Health, in order to achieve the United Nations Millennium Developmental Goals by 2015, more effort and funding by the UN and other health organizations are needed. However, the article does not specify an underlying issue with why certain areas of the globe, like sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, are not very close in meeting many of the goals. The author of the editorial fails to mention the devastating effects of corruption, which that it has on global health. Let me re-emphasize, corruption is the underlying factor in the equation of poor countries not meeting the goals set for 2015. It is not the fact that the UN and other organizations are not providing enough help and support. The purpose of the speech is to voice my position regarding this editorial in order to bring light to the damaging effects of corruption on global health and the Millennium Developmental Goals. First, I will discuss the effects of corruption in sub-Saharan Africa. Second, the effects of the corruption in South Asia will be examined. Finally, I will finish by going over the actions made by the UN, which has already been in effect, also with the help of other countries around the world, in order to fight corruption. According to an article from the Council on Foreign Relations, around $150 billion is wasted in the sub-Saharan Africa region each year due to corruption. Also, after a poll was conducted by the East African Bribery Index in 2009, it was reported that more than half of East Africans were being bribed by public sectors to pay for services that were supposed to be free. As mentioned in an article from the RIJS International Journal of Research in Social Science, sub-Saharan Africa is unable to meet the goals set by the UN because of the way governments in the region use money given to them for healthcare. They just spend it recklessly into projects that only pose as a billboard saying development and progress, when the funded projects are not actually planned out correctly. It can be seen that corruption is prominent in sub-Saharan Africa and is causing the region to lose its funding for healthcare. Bribery and the lack of accurate planning by the government are the major reasons why the region cannot achieve development by 2015. In order to observe the effects of corruption in South Asia, I will be using information gathered from surveys illustrated in International Transparency's report for the region. It appears that the most corrupt sector in South Asia is from the police force, but the health sector is also extremely affected by corruption. Reports show fluctuations between moderate to high frequencies of the corruption in everyday public service activities, such as in hospitals. Pakistan and Sri Lanka show the highest number in corruption through the health system by around 90 to 96%. Bangladesh is in third place with more than 55% of corruption cases. These are cases of corruption in admission and payments to the health system. The most major actors in the corruption of healthcare systems in South Asia are by the actual doctors and the hospital staff. The reasoning behind the madness is due to a lack of supplies, which are then bribed out by the hospitals, the supplies that they do have. Also, it is reported that most hospitals in the regions are run by the government. So this could be seen as the government's just not providing enough supplies for the hospitals. Supplies given by the UN and other health organizations. The United Nations has been trying to attack corruption around the globe under the UN Office of Drugs and Crime. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has declared corruption as a cancer. He also emphasizes the need for everyone to join the fight in defeating corruption around the world, as it affects all countries. Through the UN Office of Drugs and Crime and the UN Development Program, the crusade on corruption has gone underway, and the UN Convention Against Corruption is now in session. The biggest reason for not meeting the developmental goals by 2015 in these two regions is corruption. not because there isn't enough support or funding being given by the UN and other health organizations. Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia were examined in this speech as the two poorest and most corrupt regions in the world. The United Nations has been trying to tackle this nasty parasite in order to achieve the Millennium Developmental Goals in the regions by 2015. However, it will not be such an easy task and will likely not be resolved for the 2015 deadline.